Hello, my name is Cynthia, and I love everything nature. I believe that we all have a spirit and that we all have a soul, and it isn't just a part of the human condition. Well, here I am. I'm out at the lookout and I'm going to be going for a walk today. And I want to talk a little bit about spirituality and what it is. Find some definitions and maybe give it a cup to be held in. I know in this beautiful landscape now where I live, I can find some amazing ways to uplift my spirit. One of the ways this morning was so adorable. I was parking, getting out of my car, and I could hear voices, and I could hear these wee voices, so I knew there were children up there. And all of a sudden I heard one little voice say, "Yeah, 'cause Mommy broke your heart." And so I watched this young family, and it was a man and a woman and 3 small children. So I don't know whether she was the woman that broke his heart or whether that was a saying they used. I don't know. I don't know the context of why that child said that, but it was so adorable because the answer that the man gave to the child was, "Yeah, you broke my heart because you didn't eat your lunch." And so I don't know what was going on there, but it was pretty adorable. My question to you is, what can break your heart? When you are spiritually in tune with yourself, you begin to realize that a broken heart is not just about love or about romance or about day-to-day living. It's about what you hold dear to yourself and what is important to you. And when your heart is broken, there are all kinds of ways that it can be mended. And it is through healthy spiritual wellness that this can be done. So this trail is rather rugged. It's keeping me on my toes because it's steep and it's rocky and lots of roots and rocks that can be tripped over. When you're on your spiritual journey, there's often rocks and roots and things in your path that can be tripped over. In the work that I do for Introduction to Spirituality, when working with the aging, I introduce Matthew Fox and Brené Brown. Now, I don't have their quotes with me here, and so I will insert screenshots of them. But the Brené Brown quote, she talks about spirituality being a connection, a deep connection with others, with nature, with mosquitoes, with people. And I have this little book here now today that I'm using as my reference today. At first sight, the notion of spirituality is confusing, simply because of its breadth and diffuse nature. Hopefully, 3 important points about contemporary understandings of spirituality have been established. In this book, first, they talk about that spirituality is inherently related to context and culture. The secondly is that there are certain family resemblances to our spirituality because we are steeped in it in the first years of our lives. And third is that spirituality takes many forms because spirituality has become egalitarian or at least anti-authoritarian. And that's because we take a different view now in today's New Age spirituality of who God is. In the days gone by, even as long or as short ago as 100 years, God was still seen as a theistic being sitting outside of this universe, judging us and moving us around like chess pieces. In the last 30 years, even so, we have brought that down into our hearts more openly in the contemporary landscape. So as we work today to talk about spirituality and what it is, I ask you now to stop and take note and to think for yourself, what is spirituality to you in your contemporary context, culture, and landscape? As we cross a bridge, often we need to bridge rocky roads. There needs to be a bridge because the journey is just too hard to manage without a bridge. Grief support can be that bridge. It can help you manage to navigate that which is too rocky to navigate on foot or by yourself. So where do you need to take a bridge to help yourself navigate in natural terrain that is really hard to work with? And I keep singing, and my bell is making noise because up here you never know what animals you're going to run into, and you don't want to startle them. You want them to know you're here so that they can move on before you get to them, and that means make noise. In January and February, I'm taking a course with a Professor Russell Siler Jones, and his book is the inspiration for the work that I'm doing right now, called Spirit in Session. I emailed him to ask him permission to call my classes Spirit in Session, and he wrote back and said he was more than happy for me to use it, but he didn't know if it was copyright or not. So I'm going to trust that the word Spirit in Session can be used in various things, and I'm also giving him credit based on the book. Now, with Dr. Jones and the work that he has done, I wanted to talk about explicit and implicit spirituality. On page 39 of Russell's book, he talks about that. He says, everything might be spiritual, as I believe, he says, but everything is not explicitly spiritual. Some things are recognizable as spiritual only by those who see them that way. And I have to use as an example of this, I'll use the example of someone expecting their children to come home for Christmas or for Easter or for Hanukkah or even just Sunday dinner. Was it in your house that something about Sunday dinner was maybe spiritual or sacred or coveted by a parent, that they just expected that you would be there for it? So not everybody finds spirituality in a Sunday dinner. So that's what he means here. And he talks about explicit spirituality, which refers to things that are obviously spiritual. So if someone wears a cross around their neck, they may then be explicitly saying that they're Christian. A Muslim woman may wear a hijab or a burqa to show that she is explicitly showing her faith. However, someone like me who identifies maybe as Christian roots may not wear a cross or do anything that explicitly tells anybody what my religion is. Another thing that's very close and near and dear to our hearts that we're starting to find more recognition around is the LGBT two-spirit Q community, that rainbow community of people who you cannot tell by looking at them who they are or what is sacred and spiritual to them. And so we have so much to learn. Just like this lake behind me on its glassy surface, there may be explicit things that tell me that there's fish in this water, but I might sit here for quite some time and never be able to tell what is actually under the surface. It's pretty spectacular. And for me, spiritual. Well, I'm about 3 kilometers in on my hike today, and I'm out in the natural world and I'm loving it. So as I wrap up this class and bring it sort of to a close and open up some discussion for you, I want to again quote Russell here when he says, "Spiritual experiences help people wake up to the fullness and truth of their own lives and of the world around." The word Buddha means literally, I am awake. God called Samuel to wake up, and Jesus tells his disciples to stay awake. That's on page 41 of Russell's book. So as I conclude today, I want to ask you some questions about what keeps you awake spiritually. What helps you to see who you are deep down in your heart so that you can then assess the environment around you to know if it's a place you want to live and be? That's the work that I've been doing, and that's the work that I'm very excited about as we grow this domain called spirituality. We have all these domains of health: physical, mental, emotional, social, environmental, and one of them is spiritual. And until we better understand the spirituality of every person that we meet, we cannot be completely observant. So I invite you to have some discussion. Talk with your friends, talk with your family, talk with your classmates, talk with those who are in your church or your mosque or your synagogue. Ask them about spirituality. So I leave you with that today, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next class.